What was that ending, Grady Hendrix? Like, really, what was that ending? How's it going, everyone? So today we're going to be talking about How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. And this is the second book that I've ever read by him. The first book being Horror Store, which I think is his first published novel, but I could be wrong about that. Don't fact check me on that. But I didn't actually know that Horror Store was written by him until I picked this up and I started looking at other books that he wrote. And then I saw Horror Store on there and I was like, I had no idea that I had already read something by him. But this was definitely a great story, typical haunted house story, and that is something that's always going to interest me. This story basically follows a woman named Louise, and her parents tragically die in a car accident. She has to come back home to basically handle the estate with her brother Mark, and they, a typical thing that you have to do when someone dies and you're responsible for their estate, you have to sell their home or decide what's going to happen with their home. Well, that's basically what happens here. Well, spoiler alert, the house is haunted. This is a typical haunted house story, but it's got a little bit of a twist. The story has definitely been told before in other forms. However, Grady Hendrix really puts his own spin on it. There are several things that I really liked about this book. One being the characters. Grady Hendrix did a great job bringing these characters to life. He really made me hate Mark at the beginning, but there's some growth there from both Louise and Mark, which is like the essence of a great novel, character growth. And he also did a really great job capturing Southern life. Grady Hendrix is from one of the Carolinas, which is where this book takes place. And he did a great job of showing how people from that region act and how they talk and their personalities without being overly stereotypical. And it makes sense if he actually grew up in that environment. This is also just a typical haunted house story, which is something I always enjoy. Grady Hendrix puts his own twist on it, but this definitely holds its own against any other haunted house story you can think of. There are also quite a few scary scenes, and it's hard, especially when you're an adult, to be scared by a book. But there were some scenes in here that I was actually pretty creeped out by, and I put myself in the perspective of the people experiencing them, and they were actually pretty terrifying. It's hard for a book to scare you like a movie can or something in real life can, but if there was ever a time that a book could scare me, like there were some scenes in here that I was actually kind of surprised were kind of giving me the creeps. There's only one thing I want to mention on what I didn't like about this book, and that is the ending. Not the very, very ending, but for most of the book, the book took itself serious. Like it was like a real haunted house story, and it was like if it was real life. However, at the very end, there was a scene that kind of just went from serious to comical, and I did not really enjoy that. I thought that, I'm fine with a book being a horror comedy and not taking itself too serious, making some jokes and stuff, and making light of how crazy the situation is. That's fine, but that's not what this book presented at first. It presented itself as like a more serious haunted house story. And then at the end, they really just took a twist, and I was like, what is this ridiculousness? So I didn't really enjoy that. You might have different thoughts on that, but that's, the actual ending was good, but what happened before the ending, I thought that should have been changed completely. Also, everyone, if you're liking the video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more content from me, hit subscribe. Also, let me know if you're going to read this in the comments. I think anyone that's just looking for a typical haunted house story will probably enjoy this. There are a lot of creepy moments in here, so there are some scary parts. But especially if you've dealt with any family issues or if you had to deal with someone's estate and family around that, then you'll probably relate to how the characters in this book act and react. And you'll probably experience some intense emotions. So just keep that in mind if you plan on reading it. Thanks everyone for watching this video. That is my review of How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Let me know if you plan on reading it in the comments.